The stone scriptures of Badami, a tale carved in sandstone. Long before the word temple conjured images of soaring towers and gilded gopurams, a dynasty of visionaries looked at a sheer red cliff face above a shimmering lake in northern Karnataka and saw something no one else could see, a cathedral waiting inside the rock. This is the story of the Badami cave temples. The city called Vatapi. In the 6th century CE, a ravine between two steep mountain cliffs sheltered a city of extraordinary ambition. Its name was Vatapi, today we call it Badami, and it was the proud capital of the early Chalukya dynasty, a kingdom that would rule much of Karnataka for 2 centuries and, in doing so, change the face of Indian art forever. The town sat at the mouth of the ravine, cradled by forts on the north and south. At its heart gleamed a man-made lake, Agastya Tirtha, ringed by stone steps that descended to the water like a whispered invitation to the gods. On the southeastern escarpment above this lake, the Chalukya kings began one of the most audacious artistic projects of the ancient world. They would carve entire temples, complete with pillared halls, sculpted walls, and sanctum chambers, directly into the soft red sandstone cliffs. Not built, carved, subtracted from the living rock. 4 great cave temples emerged, each a universe in itself. Cave 1, the Cosmic Dance. The first cave sits about 59 feet above ground level, reached by a staircase where even the steps are alive, carved with dwarfish ganas frozen in cormac, straining postures as though they are physically holding up the floor above them. Step past the ganas and you enter a veranda 70 feet wide. Before your eyes can adjust to the cool dimness, you are confronted by him, Shiva as Nataraj, the lord of the cosmic dance. The image stands 5 feet tall and commands the right wall of the entrance with absolute authority. He has 18 arms, 9 left, 9 right, each arranged in a precise geometric pattern, each holding an object of divine significance: a drum, a flame torch, a serpent, a trident, an axe. Altogether, the arrangement of 9 arms on each side creates 81 possible combinations, which the Swiss art historian Alice Bohner described as a time division symbolizing the cosmic wheel, a mathematical encoding of the universe's rhythm in stone. The sculptors who executed this work were no ordinary craftsmen. Classical Bharatanatyam identifies specific mudras, or hand gestures, each with precise meaning. The artists of Badami knew them all, and they had no room for error. Unlike a painting or a sculpture in the round, a cave carving cannot be corrected. One wrong strike and the entire enterprise is abandoned. The Nataraj of Cave 1 is, therefore, not just beautiful. It is an act of supreme, irreversible confidence. To the right of the dancing Shiva, Durga slays the buffalo demon Mahishasura with 4 arms. To the left, A Dwarapala, a guardian, holds a trident, and below him is one of the cave's most quietly astonishing details: a single animal body with 2 heads, seen as an elephant from the left and a bull from the right, fused at their shared necks. Deeper inside, Harihara, a 7.5-foot deity who is literally half Shiva and half Vishnu, the right side one god, the left side another, stands flanked by Parvati and Lakshmi. Beside him, Ardhanrishwar presents Shiva and Parvati fused into a single divine being, male and female as one. These are not merely theological statements. The Chalukya kings appear to have carved a deliberate social message into the stone, that men and women are equals, that the divine itself is neither exclusively one nor the other. In the ceiling panels, a great Nagaraja, the serpent king, coils at the center, with flying celestial couples on either side. Erotic Mithuna couples occupy the roof, speaking of the sacred as inseparable from the sensual, a philosophy that would reach its fullest expression centuries later at Khajuraho. Cave 2, the 3 strides of the universe. 64 steps above Cave 1, carved in the late 6th or early 7th century, Cave 2 turns its devotional attention to Vishnu, the preserver. The entrance is flanked, this time, by guardians holding flowers, not weapons, a subtlety that signals the cave's more tender theological temperament. Inside, 2 relief sculptures dominate. The first is Trivikrama, Vishnu in the act of measuring the entire universe in 3 strides. The legend behind it is one of India's most beloved. A demon king named Bali ruled the three worlds. Vishnu took the form of a dwarf, Vamana, and asked Bali for as much land as he could cover in 3 steps. Bali, generous and proud, agreed. In an instant, Vamana grew to cosmic size. In one stride he covered the earth. In a second, the heavens. He paused his 3rd step, humbling Bali and reclaiming the universe for the gods. Cave 2's relief captures the moment of maximum drama, the single raised stride, colossal and triumphant. The second great image is Varaha. Vishnu is a great boar who dives into the cosmic ocean to rescue the earth goddess, Bhudevi. She clings to his tusk, a figure of touching vulnerability beside his immense, protective strength. Below them rides a multi-headed Naga, a penitent serpent. Alice Bonner's geometric analysis of this panel reveals that even the overall rectangle is not accidental. Its proportions align precisely to the second vertical chord of an octopatite circle, confirming that Chalukyan art operated within a sophisticated mathematical framework of sacred geometry. The cave's walls and ceiling still carry faint traces of colored paint, the ghostly residue of fresco paintings that once made the stone glow. Within those friezes, if you look carefully, are scenes from the Bhagavata Purana, the churning of the cosmic ocean, the birth of Krishna, the young god playing his flute. A wheel on the ceiling, fitted with 16 fish spokes, suggests the Chalukyan artists were reaching for cosmic symbolism in every surface they carved. Cave 3, the oldest Hindu temple with a date. Of the 4 caves, Cave 3 holds the most extraordinary historical distinction. An inscription found within it records that the shrine was dedicated by a Chalukyan king named Mangal Shah in Saka year 500, which corresponds to 578 CE, on the full moon of the 1st of November. This makes Cave 3 the oldest firmly dated Hindu cave temple in all of India. It is also the largest of the 4, 70 feet wide at its veranda, carved 48 feet deep into the mountain, with an added sanctum extending it 12 further feet. 60 steps above Cave 2, facing north, Cave 3's scale alone communicates power. Its pillars, each carved with deep bases and capitals partly hidden by 3-sided brackets, show a sculptural maturity that feels almost impossible for the 6th century. The iconographic program is encyclopedic. Vishnu appears in form after magnificent form, seated on the coiled serpent Shesha, accompanied by Lakshmi and Garuda, as the colossal Trivikrama mid-stride, as Narsimha, the man-lion avatar, standing in a posture of barely restrained ferocity, as Varaha rescuing the earth, and as the great 8-armed standing Vishnu. On the southern wall, Harihara, Vishnu and Shiva fused, quietly insists that all of this is one. But Cave 3's greatest surprise is its ceiling. Here, among the stone, survive some of the earliest known fresco paintings in all of Indian art. Though faded and broken, they are unmistakable. Brahma on his goose vehicle, Shiva and Parvati at their wedding, attended by the assembled gods, couples floating in clouds, the 8 Dikpalas guarding the cardinal directions. The palette was vivid, ochres, reds, greens, blues, and represents a colored world that has largely been lost to time. The artisans even left their signatures in some places, making these among the earliest known artist attributions in Indian art history. The cave's carvings also show something more intimate, aspects of everyday Chalukyan life. The jewelry that adorns the divine figures mirrors what aristocratic women wore. The hairstyles, the garments, the musical instruments carved into the friezes, all of it is a 6th century mirror reflecting a civilization at the height of its creative powers.
Cave 4, the Jain Sanctuary. A few steps below Cave 3 and further east, the 4th cave makes an abrupt and deliberate shift in devotional allegiance. Here, no Vishnu, no Shiva, only the serene figures of Jainism's liberated beings, the Tirthankaras. Cave 4 was constructed later than the other 3, in the later 7th century or possibly the 8th, sponsored by the same Hindu kings who built its neighbors. This is one of the great statements of Chalukyan tolerance. A Hindu dynasty carving a Jain sacred space with the same care and artistic excellence as its Hindu counterparts. Inside, Bahubali stands in the Kayotsarga posture, motionless, arms at his sides, vines growing up his legs from the years he has spent in perfect meditation. Parshvanatha, the 23rd Tirthankara, is sheltered by a five-hooded cobra, his identifying symbol. Mahavira sits on a lion throne. 24 small Tirthankara images are engraved into the inner pillars and walls. The atmosphere is one of absolute stillness, a silence the stone seems to have absorbed from the meditating figures carved within it. The fifth cave and the mystery at the lake. On the opposite shore of Agastya Lake, near the later Bhutanath temples, a smaller cave harbors a mystery that scholars have debated for over a century. Inside sits a damaged statue, its face deliberately destroyed at some point in history, seated on a sculpted throne, adorned with jewelry, a sacred thread across its chest, and on one side a chakra, on the other a conch shell. Some scholars, noting the halo, the peepal tree carved nearby, and two chauri bearing attendants who may be bodhisattvas, argue this is the Buddha. Others point to the chakra and conch, unmistakably Vaishnavite symbols, and argue it is Vishnu in his avatar as Buddha, a deliberate theological synthesis. A third school argues, supported by a pre-damaged photograph that shows no Yushnisha lump, that this is simply an ancient king, represented with the iconography of multiple traditions. The Carol Radcliffe Bolan of the Smithsonian put it most honestly, the date and identity of the statue remain enigmatic. Perhaps the ambiguity is itself the point. Badami was a place where traditions met and merged, where a Harihara could fuse Shiva and Vishnu into one body, where a Hindu king could carve Jain cave temples with genuine devotion. A statue that refuses to be definitively categorized may be Badami's most honest monument of all.
The living legacy. The Badami caves did not exist in isolation. Together with the nearby temple complexes at Aihole, 35 kilometers away, home to over 100 ancient monuments, and the UNESCO World Heritage Site at Pattadakal, just 22 kilometers distant, the caves transformed the Malaprabha River Valley into what historians call a cradle of temple architecture. The architectural vocabulary invented here, the pillared veranda, the columned hall, the square sanctum, the interplay of Nagara and Dravidian forms, traveled outward across the Indian subcontinent, shaping temple design for centuries. In 2013, a government archaeologist named Manjunath Suloli discovered yet another cave, 500 meters from the main complex, with 27 rock carvings and an inscription in Devanagari script. Water gushes from it year-round. Its date is unknown. Badami, even now, is not done revealing itself. The red sandstone cliffs still glow at sunrise and sunset like heated copper. The lake still mirrors the temples in its still water, and in the cool shadows of the caves, the dancing Shiva still lifts his 18 arms, the vines still grow up Bahubali's legs, and Vishnu still measures the universe in a single raised stride, frozen mid-motion, exactly as the stone was struck 14 centuries ago.
Deep in the Rocky Mountains of Bagalkot district in northern Karnataka, lies an architectural wonder. The tiny town of Badami is home to the rock-cut Badami Caves, a complex of Hindu and Jain cave temples. The cave temples in Badami are remnants of the Chalukya dynasty that ruled the town from 540 AD and 757 AD. The popular cave temples surrounding Lake Agastya are an example of Badami Chalukya architecture and Indian rock-cut architecture. According to historical texts, Badami was known by many names. The capital of the Chalukya dynasty was also called Vatapi. The town is located at the exit point of a ravine between some steep mountains of red sandstone. According to the Puranas, the place derived its name from the wicked demon Vathapi. Vathapi and his brother had tricked and killed over 9,000 people. Later, the legendary sage Agastya killed the demon brothers using his dharmic powers. In 540 CE, Pulikeshi I founded the Chalukya dynasty. The king chose Vatapi, which was protected on three sides by rugged sandstone cliffs, as his capital. Between the 6th and 8th centuries, the Chalukyas ruled much of Karnataka, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. Pulikeshi I's sons Kirthivaman and Mangalsha constructed the famous temples in the Badami caves. The fort and medieval temples in and around Badami are heritage sites and very popular among tourists. Let's explore the architectural wonders in Badami. The cave temples are numbered 1 to 4 according to their creation. The 4 cave temples are carved into the steep cliff face above a man-made lake called Agastya Tirtha. The temples are carved into the monolithic stone face of the red sandstone cliff. The first cave in the Badami cave temples is built 59 feet above ground level towards the northwestern part of the hill. Cave 1 is dedicated to the Hindu god Shiva. The walls, ceiling and columns of the cave are covered with sculptures and carvings of Shiva and his sons, Ganesha and Kartikeya. There are several other sculptures of the goddess Parvati and her different avatars. All the sculptures of the gods and goddesses are adorned with carved ornaments. The figures are surrounded by borders with reliefs of floral garlands, animals and birds. The cave temples are connected by over 200 steps carved into the mountain. The interconnecting steps have intermediate terraces that overlook the town of Badami and the lake below. The temples in caves 1 to 3 are dedicated to Hindu gods, whereas cave 4 is dedicated to Mahavira, the founder of Jainism. This is the second cave in the Badami Caves complex. Second cave temple faces the north and is a mere 64 steps above cave 1. The temple in cave 2 is dedicated to the Hindu god Vishnu. The floor plan in cave 2 is similar to the first cave. It has a veranda, a main hall and a shrine. The walls, ceilings and pillars in the cave are carved and sculpted like those in cave 1. The sculptures in the cave depict the various avatars of Vishnu. The interior of the cave temple is decorated with friezes which depict stories from Hindu texts, like the Bhagavata Purana. The friezes depict the legends of the Samudra Manthan and the birth of Krishna among several others. "60 steps away from cave 2 is the third cave, which is at a higher altitude than the second cave. Cave 3 is the largest of the Badami cave temples and is also the oldest dated Hindu temple in the Deccan region. The exact date of construction is only known for this temple. An inscription in the temple records that King Mangalsha dedicated the temple to Vishnu in Saka 500, lunar calendar 578-579 CE. The inscription written in Old Kannada is proof that it's the oldest firmly dated Hindu cave temple in India. The cave temple 3, which faces towards the north, has been carved 60 feet deep into the mountain. The temple in cave 3 is mainly dedicated to Vishnu, but there are sculptures of different avatars of Shiva as well. So the temple in cave 3 is important to Shivisham studies too. Like the other two caves, cave 3 is also decorated extensively with sculptures and frescoes. Some of them are faded and broken, but they are the earliest known proof of fresco painting in Indian art. Some of the artworks in this cave also show the artist's signatures and other inscriptions. Cave 4 in the Badami Caves complex is on a slightly lower level than Cave 3. The fourth cave, which is the smallest of the Badami cave temples, is located right next to the third cave. This temple is dedicated to the Jain Tirthankaras, the revered figures of Jainism. This temple is believed to have been constructed in the later part of the 7th century by Hindu kings. Cave 4 is also decorated with detailed sculptures and a diverse range of motifs. Some of the embellishments in the cave suggest that they were added much later, during the 11th and 12th centuries. The walls of the cave are carved with the figures of Bahubali, Parshvanatha, Mahavira and several other Jain Tirthankaras. The small shrine inside the temple has an idol of Mahavira resting on a pedestal. The town of Badami is home to several other cave monuments and temples other than the 4 cave temples. Another 7th-8th century cave temple lies on the other side of the Agastya Tirtha lake, near the Bhutanatha temple. This cave temple from the Chalukya period is much smaller in dimension compared to the temples in the Badami caves complex. Bhutanatha group of temples comprises of a bunch of sandstone temples, all dedicated to Lord Shiva. This group of temples is situated nearby the well-known Badami cave temples. It is one of the earliest examples of structural temples in South India. This temple was built during the reign of the Chalukyas of Vatapi, as Badami was known then. Later additions were built by the Kalyani Chalukyas of the west. Bhutanatha group of temples came under the influence of Jains for a period of time. Later, it was taken over by the Lingayats, who installed a Shiva Linga in the shrine and a Nandi in front. This lake is called Agastya Tirtha or Agastya Lake. It is said to be almost 5th century old and has high religious values. People believes that the water of the lake can heal anyone and anytime. Bhutanatha temples located in the east sides of the Agastya Tirtha lake add to the beauty of the place. Bhutanatha group of temples includes 2 major temples, one on the east and the other on the northeast side of the Agastya Tirtha. The temple on the northeast side of the lake is the Mallikarjun temple. It belongs to a later period and it was built during the reign of the western Chalukyas. A small ancient well-crafted temple which usually gets unnoticed in Badami, it's called Yellamma temple. Built by the later Chalukyas in the 11th century CE, this small but beautiful temple is on an ancient dam on the western end of the Agastya lake in Badami. Getting around Badami is quite easy as it is a small town. Early morning or evenings are best for visiting the caves and one can get perfect photography opportunities during these timings. The best way to experience the place is on foot as there are many sites to withhold aside from the iconic and popular ones.